Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Blessings to you wherever you are joining me. Welcome. This is Pastor Lasandra Brooks, aka your girl Lala. Come on, please. I need you to like, I need you to tag, I need for you to invite someone in the room on this morning. Come on, come on. We are talking. We know that normally Wednesdays is our Warrior Woman Wednesday, and we are going to talk about a woman for sure on today that had to come overcome some obstacles, that have gone through some things. So thank you for joining me on this Warrior Woman Wednesday, on this triumphant Wednesday, on this victorious Wednesday. Let me get comfortable here. I'm sitting in the chair crooked, and I don't want to any incidents with my back on today. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm delighted to have you. Please share, please tag, please like, please let somebody know that Pastor Lasandra Brooks, aka your girl Lala, is on this Wednesday, this wonderful Wednesday morning. Good morning to you. I want to start reading in Genesis, I think the 21st chapter, and I'm going to start around the 9th verse. And the person that I want to talk about a little bit on today is Hagar. Hagar. I'm going to try not to jump so much, but we're going to talk about Hagar. And I'm going to start reading in Genesis 21 and verses 9. This is Sarah, Sarah was the wife of Abraham. Sarah was that Abraham saw that Abraham's son by Hagar, the Egyptian, was laughing at Isaac. So just kind of back it up, giving you a little bit of history. For those that know your Bibles, you already know the story that when God spoke to Abraham and was telling him that he and Sarah would have the promised child in his old age, Sarah laughed. She didn't believe it. So she gave their bondservant, their slave, Hagar, to Abraham to bear him a son. So here comes Ishmael. She bears Ishmael. And now Sarah's feeling some kind of way. Can y'all say with me this morning? Yep, she was feeling some kind of way. It's not me though, but she was feeling some kind of way. So it says, when Sarah saw that Abraham's son by Hagar, the Egyptian, was laughing at Isaac. Doesn't say why she was laughing, but it was during the time that he had just become weaned. So he may have thought it was funny that he had to, whatever was going on at the time. Can't say that because the Bible doesn't tell me. It says in verse 10 that she said to Abraham, get rid of the slave and her son, because this slave's son must never share the inheritance with my son Isaac. Abraham was upset by this because of because of his son Ishmael. I'm trying to read and I'm thinking all at the same time. So I'm sorry, you guys. Bear with me this morning because I'm excited. When I was getting dressed and I'm hearing things, right? So you think you're in the wilderness. That's where I'm going. I'm fired up. So you think you're in the wilderness. So you find yourself in the wilderness. What are we going to do when we find ourselves in the wilderness place? I hadn't gotten there yet, but hang on with me because I promise you I'm going to take you somewhere and you will be blessed on today. Yes, you will. It says so in verse 10, she said to Abraham, get rid of this slave and her son, because this slave's son must never share the inheritance with my son Isaac. Verse 11, Abraham was upset by this because of his son Ishmael. But God said to Abraham, who said? God said to Abraham, don't be upset about the boy and your slave. Listen to what Sarah says, because through Isaac, your descendants will carry on your name. Verse 3, besides, I will make the slave's son into a nation also. I will make the slave's son. God is telling Abraham, chill out. It's going to be all right. I know you upset because that's your child, but listen to your wife. I promise I got you, Abraham. Trust me. You've been trusting me. Continue to trust me. Besides, I will make the slave's son into a nation also, because he is your child. He is your child. Some things we just cannot abandon that are attached to us, that belong to us, that have been assigned to us. They cannot be abandoned. It said early, verse 14, early the next morning, Abraham took bread and a container of water. I'm going to try to read fast, and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulder. He also gave her the boy and sent her on her way. Can y'all imagine how painful that could be? Can you imagine what is going on in Hagar's mind at this moment? You mean to tell me, I'm going to go ahead and finish reading because I'm about to get excited right there. So she left and wandered around in the desert near Beersheba, when the water in the container that was given to her by Abraham, the container was gone, meaning it was empty. She put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went about as far away as an arrow can be shot. And I'm reading from the good word Bible, God words Bible. I'm saying good, God words Bible. That's what I'm reading from. And she went about as far away as an arrow can be shot and sat down. She said to herself, I don't want to watch the boy die. I do not want to watch my son perish. So she sat down and sobbed loudly. She cried in agony. Verse 17, but God heard the boy crying, and the messenger of God called to Hagar from heaven. And what's the matter, Hagar? What's the matter, Hagar? Why are you crying? What's the matter? Question. He asked her, don't be afraid. God has heard the boy crying. Now she was crying too, but it said God heard the boy crying from the bushes. Come on, help the boy up. Take him by the hand, because I'm going to make him a great nation. I'm going to make him a great nation. Y'all, I said I was going to stop at the 18th verse, but I think I need to go a little bit farther. It said in verse 19, but God opened her eyes. God opened Hagar's eyes that she saw a well. Now she's out of water. Her son, she's thinking he's about to die because it's thirsty, it's dry, he's overcome, it's probably hot, he's muggy, he's about to go into heat exhaustion, and she is not wanting to see her only child that she was forced to have. She was given to birth this child. Now everything, the script has been flipped. The script has been flipped. So it said God opened her eyes that she saw a well. She filled the container with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. I'm going to stop right there. And that's verse, I read verses Genesis 21, 9 through verses 19. But you can read the whole chapter. You can even go back and you can read about how Hagar even came into the picture, how she came into focus, because what's her name? Abraham's wife, Sarah. That's it. Sarah couldn't wait. She didn't believe God. She didn't trust God that he was going to do what he said he was going to do, that he was going to keep his word. I want to talk to someone today that feel like somehow you found yourself in a wilderness place. You found yourself in a place of desolation. You found yourself in a place of scarcity and isolation, that you're just wandering around in the wilderness lost. You don't have any direction. You don't know where you're going. You have been tossed into a situation that you did not ask for. You have been thrust in a situation and put in a position that you did not ask for. How in the world, Father God, did I get to this place where I am? How did I get to this place that I am? Number one, I was doing my job. I was minding my own self good business and minding my own self good mind and doing what I knew what to do. And I was called in, and I was given Abraham by Sarah, his wife, to bear him a son. Now that means they had to come together. So what is the slave going to tell her master? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give in. She did. She allowed Abraham to come unto her, and she bore a son, Ishmael. And it was all fine, well, and good until Isaac comes on the scene. Thank God for the promised child, Isaac. Thank God that he's a promise-keeping God that keeps his word. And he said, even in their old age, as they bore this child, were doing this process, now you're starting to feel some kind of way, Sarah, towards Hagar, because she has a son. Now your son has come on the picture, so I don't need you anymore. I don't need you flaunting Ishmael in my face. I don't need him intermingling with my child, because he's not going to get the same inheritances. She was feeling some kind of way. Can you say it this morning? Yeah, I was feeling some kind of way. There's been seasons when I felt some kind of way. There's been seasons I felt like I should have been farther along. That should have been me in that position. That should have been me marrying that person. That should have been me running that business. That should have been me preaching at that church. I should have been the pastor at that church. I should have been an overseer by now. I should have been a bishop by now. I should have been an apostle by now. That should have been me driving in that Lexus. That should have been me driving in that Bentley. That should have been me living in that 5,000 square foot house with maids and servants. That should have been me with all of the cattle. That should have been me that would have the abundance. That should have. I should have been in that place. But there's an appointed time for everything. There is a season for everything. And now we find ourselves in the wilderness. We find ourselves in a place of scarcity. We find ourselves struggling. We find ourselves wondering. We find ourselves out of position. We find ourselves out of place. We find ourselves being kicked out. We find ourselves being isolated. We find ourselves with people turning their back on us. People don't deny us. People deny us. They refuse us. They don't help us. They reject us. They don't even see us. They don't acknowledge us. They don't claim us. They don't own us. They act like they don't know who we are. Even after all you've asked me to do for you, and I showed up every time. I was there for every meeting. I was there. So what? I was there. Yeah, it was me that was there. I showed up when you asked me to show up. I performed when you asked me to perform. I did when I didn't even have it to do. I could have probably said no. But I'm honoring you as being my covering. I'm honoring you as being the one that is over me. I'm honoring you as being my master. I'm honoring you, and I'm doing what you have requested me to do. And now you turn your back on me? Let's be real. You turn your back on me? This is how you do your girl? This is how you do your friend? This is how you treat me after all I've done? I served till I couldn't serve anymore. I did everything you asked me to do. When you called me, I answered. When you text me, I answered. I responded in a timely manner on top of that. And this is how you do me? You thrust me out. You pushed me somewhere that I wasn't trying to go. I didn't need to go. I'm a woman with a child, and you put me in a wilderness place. You put me in a place of scarcity. How am I going to make ends meet? How am I going to provide for my son? Yes, you gave me a little container of water. Yes, you gave me a little bit of food, but sooner or later that was going to run out. I'm not a hunter. I'm not a skilled hunter that I know how to go kill game to eat and to provide. And you left me in this place, really? And you're denying me the very thing that you wanted, I gave. Yeah, it wasn't God's way. It wasn't his commission, but I still gave it. I still did it. Are you finding yourself in the wilderness this on today? But know that even in your wilderness, because what are you saying, Lala? What are you trying to get us to know? Even when you're in your wilderness place, God will show up. Indeed, he will show up. Whether it's the nick of time, whether it's on time, however you want to look at it, he is going to show up. Because guess what? He heard, and the Bible, it was just amazing to me because I kept saying, well, she the mama. Why is everything referring to the boy? He didn't ask to be here. He's in a position that he didn't ask to be in. And he's innocent. He's a child. I don't even know if he knew the story, how everything all came about. But it said God heard his cry. And the angel of the Lord, the messenger of the Lord, said unto her, hey, God, what's wrong? What is wrong? But we're talking about your son here. I heard your son crying, but she was crying too. But he responded to the son. I heard your son. Listen, I'm going to open your eyes and you in the wilderness. I'm going to provide for you while you're in the wilderness. Who am I talking to on this morning? Or who will watch this replay this afternoon, this evening, or whenever you will show up and watch and join? Thank you this morning for joining. Thank you for showing up. Who will watch this today will be blessed. I promise you, you will be blessed. Because we will you might not be, sometimes find yourself in the wilderness. You might not be in the wilderness now, but at some point you're going to find yourself in a wilderness place. You're going to find yourself in a place of scarcity when you don't have enough, when you can't make ends meet and you don't know what to do. I want to encourage you to look to the hills from which cometh your help. Yes, you may find yourself in a wilderness place. Yes, you may find yourself in a desolate place. Yes, you may find yourself in a tight place. Yes, you may find yourself in a barren place. Yes, you may find yourself in a lonely place. But trust God, because sometimes he have us in the wilderness to teach us a lesson. So what I want to encourage you to do today is to keep your ears open. Keep your ears in tune with God. Don't lose focus and focus on your wilderness and your surroundings and your scarcity and what you have and what you don't have, what you need and what you don't have, because God said he will supply all of your need according to his riches in glory. Our Father is rich. Our Daddy is rich in houses and land. Whatever you need, he is rich. There is no scarcity in God. There is no lack in God. There's no deficiency in God. He's an all-sufficient God that's able to make all grace, that you're bound to all grace abound in you. He's able to bring it to you. He's able to bring you through whatever you may be facing, no matter what it may look like, whether you're in the wilderness, whether you're in the desert, no matter where you find yourself. Sometimes he isolates us so he can speak to us, so we can see clearer, so we can think clearer, so we have a better understanding, so we can trust in him and him alone. Do we trust? In him alone do we trust. So no matter what you're facing, if I can instill anything in you today, when you find yourself in that wilderness place, when you find yourself with your back against the wall, when you find yourself where you seem to be all turned topsy-turvy and you're all backwards, you're out of focus, you're out of vision, you can't think straight, you can't see straight, you can't walk straight, you seem to be in a cycle, you seem to be coming back to the same thing, you keep finding yourself in the same situation, in the same predicament. I want to encourage you to trust God on today, because he's the one that's going to bring you up. He's the one that's going to bring you out of the cycle. He's going to take you off of that revolving door syndrome. You keep passing by and you keep seeing the same thing. You keep finding yourself going backwards instead of forward. You keep finding yourself in a dry and barren place where it seems like there can nothing grow. Come on. Trust God today. Trust God in all things. And you was like, what Hagar got to do with a warrior woman? Because she pushed through. She could have went fighting and screaming. She could have been. They may have had to drag her out of the camp. The Bible does not tell us that. This is he packed her up and he sent her on you. Can you imagine? You had a child for a person that you wasn't interested. Yeah, Abraham may have been fine, and she may have been looking at him on the slick at time or two, but she knew that was her master. She knew how to stay in her place. She was a slave girl. So Sarah presented this idea that this is what she wanted. But then when Sarah got what she wanted, when we get what we want, sometimes we want to discard people. Ooh, I don't know how I got all the way over here. But when we get what we want from somebody, then we want to discard them. We want to do away with them. Oh, I got what I needed from you. I don't need you no more. Excuse me. I got what I needed. You can go. Bye-bye. I don't need you anymore. You can get out of my presence. Go ahead. I don't care if you have what you need. Just go. I don't even want to see you. I won't acknowledge you. I will turn my back on you. You've served well. I've got what I wanted. Bye. You can leave. But when you're leaving, keep your heart pure. and allow God to speak to you. Keep your mind open, your ears open, that you can hear God speak to you. That you can hear clearer than you've ever heard. He know, he see, he ain't sleeping. He see everything that has ever been done to you. He sees and he knows, and we reap what we sow. So don't engage in battle with your past. Don't keep tossing to and fro and struggling with your past in your mind. You're wrestling in your mind. It's like you in the wrestling ring. You're going back to and fro with your past. Your past hurts, your past disappointments, your past setbacks, what you could have had, what you could have been. You building, and then all of a sudden it crumbles. And you find yourself in a wilderness place. You find yourself in a place where you by yourself. You find yourself where you are lonely, where you're disappointed, where you're frustrated, when you're hungry, when you're thirsty, when you need yourself. But then you still find yourself giving. You still find yourself pouring. You still find yourself saying, well, I don't have it, but God, I'm still going to give it. I've been hurt. I've been battered. I've been cut. I've been stabbed. I've been drowned. I've been isolated. I've been persecuted. I've been talked about. I've been kicked out. I've been rejected. My people's back have been turned in my face. And they walk away, and you look and see them walk away. That hurts. But you keep living. You stay in a place of purity, and you stay in a place where you trust God with all of your heart. Yes, God, it hurts. I hurt. They cut me and I'm bleeding. I'm about to bleed out, but I need you to stop the hemorrhaging. I need you, God, and you're the only one that can stop me from bleeding out. You're the only one that can stop me from hemorrhaging to death. You're the only one, because they've cut a major artery. And if you don't come quickly, there will be no more la. If you don't come quickly, there will be no more whoever you may be. But trust God in your wilderness season and allow him to provide for you in the midst of a wilderness, in a dry and a barren place, in a desolate place, a place of scarcity. Allow him, the all-sufficient one, that you may abound in every good work. In everything that you do, in everything that you put your hands on will excel, because he's going to bless you too. Yeah, they may have gotten a blessing. They may be living in that 5,000 square foot house. They may have a Mercedes. They may have a Porsche. They may have a Benz. They may have whatever they have. But God said, guess what? I got Isaac, but I got Ishmael too. And you will reap. You will reap. You will reap. You will reap. I gotta go. I love you guys. This is Pastor Lysandra Brooks, aka your girl Lala. I want to remind you to always be your authentic self. Whatever you do, stay true to you. Be your authentic self. Know that quitting is never an option. You are a woman, you are a man, you are a person, you are an individual with purpose. I am simply here to help you recognize, release, rise, and to rebuild. This has been your warrior woman conquering moment on this Wednesday. I love you all. I gotta go. Until next time. Bye-bye.